Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I haven't made a video in a long time and I got really inspired today because there's something that's really on my heart to share. And it's this: the age of the small self is crumbling. It is unraveling. It is leaving the planet. And we are experiencing this individually and collectively. As our awareness starts to rise, as more of the light of the true self starts to shine within us, all areas that we are still tied to the small self are going to be illuminated. You know, all of the places within us that have oppressed our light, that have kept us in a place of limitation, that have kept us in the thinking, the reasoning mind of little me, I have no power, I can't realize my dreams, I'm just gonna go with the status quo, I'm just gonna do what was told to me to do in this lifetime, and I have no power over these patterns that have created tremendous suffering for a long time in my life. Those ways of knowing yourself, those ways of perceiving who you are and the reality that you're existing in, this quantum field that we find ourselves in, it's not gonna fly anymore. It's not gonna fly, and it's gonna create very intense feelings within yourself when you try to hold on to all of the areas where you were being the small self. Now, we needed this throughout our evolution to help us to survive, to get us to the point that we're at now, where we've created a world where we have the space to begin to explore what's inside of us and what the nature of reality is and what our part is in all of that. And a lot of clients that I've been working with lately, and then just me doing my own inner discovery process, I'm seeing the small self getting more loud than it's ever been. And you know that you're very close to a breakthrough when that voice inside of you starts to get really loud and starts to fill you with lots of thoughts and feelings that are trying to keep you in the level of consciousness that you've been at, where it's comfortable, where it's safe, even if you're suffering, even if you are not enjoying life, even if you are feeling stuck. That's okay, because you're safe, you're used to that, you become comfortable, it's convenient. And so this part of you will do anything to keep you in that place. And evolution right now is inviting us to come out of there and to identify once again with the divine nature of who we really are, that we are a reflection of creation. We are made in the likeness and image of that which is the reason that we're here, that all of this is here, you know, because this reality, everything that's behind me right now, everything in the material world, which has hypnotized me, hypnotized us in a lot of ways to get focused and fixated on the world out there and not pay any attention to the world in here, which is where everything is coming from. So if you find yourself in a place where you're feeling really stuck, if you're feeling really depressed, if you're feeling like you have no power, okay, this is the way that your soul invites you to the next level. This is through intense suffering. Oftentimes it's what we need. It's a catalyst to get us to finally look inside and say, is this true for me anymore? When those stories show up, are you gonna see them the same way? Are you gonna attach to them in the same way? Or are you gonna get curious that there might be a lot more to you? Are you gonna get curious that there's other humans on this planet that have been able to do this that aren't any different than you or I? They simply stopped allowing that voice to keep them in the limitation, to keep them from living their dreams, to realizing what's possible, okay? When I use my reasoning mind, when I use my logic and the rational side of my left brain, which is what school trained us to do, my field of possibilities shrunk from infinite possibility into a very narrow band of frequency. And I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew how the world worked. I thought that I knew myself and what I was here to do, and thought I had a pretty good grip on reality. And the more that I am expanding my consciousness and raising my level of awareness, I'm starting to realize how little I actually know. And I'm also starting to become aware of how much is really deep inside of me, how much of a depth there is to that, and how much possibility is inside of that. Like, I'm really coming to terms with that I am the creator of my experience. My perception is coloring my entire experience of reality. And the small self loves to play victimhood. It loves to keep itself limited. It loves to, again, keep you in that place of suffering because it's comfortable and convenient. It never wants you to expand. It never wants you to go out of your comfort zone and become all that you are, because it's a threat to its existence. So when you can start to see it that way, as I'm starting to see it more, I hold a place of compassion for that, because I held on to certain stories that I accepted as truth for so long, that felt so real to me. And now as they're crumbling away, so something much bigger can come through, a much higher truth can start to become alive and light up my heart inside of me, I realize that there's a lot of fear for that identity that I held for so long. There's a lot of fear that, it's gonna go away. And I used to identify with that identity the whole time. So as I'm re-knowing myself and reorienting myself to this new level of consciousness as the truth of who I am, the divine nature inside of me, it really brings forth a lot of love and understanding and compassion for this part that's dying away, that's really scared to die away. And it's sort of, at times, it expresses as like a tug of war, and which side of that tug of war do I want to energize? Am I going to fight against this side that's trying to hold on? No, because that is just going to create resistance and tension in that rope, and it's going to be a standstill, and it's going to be, force versus force in that sense. Or I can see why this side is holding on so tightly and why it's so scared. And then as I offer that compassion and love, and also choosing very powerfully, like, okay, I'm ready to live my life based in my truth. I'm ready to open up to all new possibilities. I'm ready to open up to a life that I know my dreams are possible. And I know that everything first started in the mind and then made its way into the material realm. Everything that we're seeing here all came from a thought of someone that believing that it was possible. And it's no different in you or I to what we want to create in our lives. The small self does not agree with that. It does not see itself that way. It believes that it needs to go out and force things and make things happen, and it needs to gather the materials, and it needs to do all these different things to make it work. And the true self knows that it can be a lot less effort than that. It can be synchronistic. It can be simply changing your energy and then taking actions towards what you love to do, and demonstrating that that is the reality that you desire to live in by taking the action and doing the thing. So this is going to happen for all of us right now. This is evolution. This is our soul that's giving us the invitation to experience this reality as our true divine self, rather than the small self, which has created a lot of problems, clearly, that we can see out there. Separation, fighting to get ahead, stepping on other people to get ahead. Focused on the grind and what can I get, rather than what's going to make this world a better place and how can I enjoy this short experience of life in this particular body that I have for this journey, and how can I help others do the same, realizing that we're all one. Everything here is interconnected. We're all sharing thoughts. We're all sharing this reality. We're all sharing these different realms of consciousness, and what I do affects everybody else, and vice versa. And so we all matter in that way. We're all adding to the collective soup that we're swimming in for this life. And we will start to see a world that is going to be created from a place of expansiveness, where there's not limitation, there's not trauma that's running our lives. We're not making our decisions from fear. We're not making decisions based on a very small sense of who we think we are, what we're capable of. You know, we're gonna see a world that is really supporting and being created from a place of our divinity, where anything is possible and we do everything for the highest good of all. Unity consciousness is what's really making its way into this realm. So if you're in your life and you're feeling stuck, you're feeling helpless, you're feeling alone, you're feeling, any of these things, take that as a sign that you're ready. Take that's like your soul knocking on the door, ringing the doorbell and saying, hey, it's time. Can you let go of the story of the small self? Can you let go of the limiting beliefs and the stories that you've energized your entire life that are not serving you anymore? Literally, we have beliefs and attitudes about ourselves and our planet that we formed when we were children, and that's the base of our operations as adults. And that's not working anymore. We're starting to see that that's not what we want, and that's not creating a world that's desirable, right? Look at the chaos out there. It's all coming from the complexity of the reasoning machine mind. And so as we expand into our true nature and we start to have more of a balance between our mind, body, and soul, between the two hemispheres of our brain, things will be created from that place where there's going to be everything's going to be done in a very harmonious way. And all of a sudden, you're not going to have an interest in doing things that you were once doing. In the way that you spend your time and the relationships that you have, like all of the stories tied to the old version of you are going to fall away. And the more that you hold on to them is going to be equal to the degree of suffering that you're desiring to have. And we all need to hold each other through this process, because it can be a very scary thing. It can be very difficult to let go of this old identity and everything that was tied to it. We're very attached to that old identity. So support is more pivotal than ever right now. So that's been really on my heart, and I just wanted to finally make a video again and express this and share this, because it's been so there for me in the last few weeks, and I've been seeing it everywhere. Allow yourself to expand into everything that you came here to be. You focused yourself into this reality to have an incredible experience, to make an impact, to express who you are, not to slave away to your old patterns and your limitations, and to have other people tell you what to do and how to live, and to keep yourself in a place of just ridiculous suffering, right? Like, there's so much for us beyond that. And if we are willing to go into the unknown, and we're willing to embrace this time that we're in and see it for the opportunity that it is, that's going to really invite a lot of magic into your life and possibilities, and you're going to move into solution consciousness rather than stuck up in the reasoning mind problem consciousness, perceiving that there's a problem and then trying to find a way to fix it, even though it doesn't have a way to fix it from that place, from that level of mind. So there's a lot of madness when we keep ourselves in the place of the small self, and it's going away now. And so I would invite you to love yourself through that, find community, find support as you go through that process. This is why things like the coaching industry have gotten so big, because we can't do this alone. We need that support. We need the energy and consciousness of others at different times throughout our journey to help us to move through that resistance, to move through that terror barrier when you're making a huge shift in your life. And yeah, it wasn't meant to do alone. It wasn't meant to do alone at all. So I just wanted to share that, and sending lots of love to everybody out there. We're in a wild time on this planet right now, but it's very beautiful, and you get to decide how that unfolds for you. So I'll see you guys soon, and Much love.